You're with India Post Live, India's first online news conversation web TV. I'm Ishan Russell, and India Post Live is, of course, a forum for you to participate in. Come in using social media. Use Twitter, hashtag India Post Live to your tweets, or use our Twitter handle at India Post Live. You can also use Facebook. We have a Facebook page called India Post Live. Go there, like it, post a picture, post a comment, post a video, post anything you want. We'll, of course, get in touch with you and try to respond to your query or comment if you have any. And also, you can go to indiapostlive.com. That's the name of this website. You can go there, log in and post your comments. You can watch this video live, of course, and in case you're watching it later, there are other videos on demand as well. So you can go check out the various discussions that we've had on so many subjects under the sun that I'm sure at least one would suit your sensibilities. All right. Now, what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about, yes, mobile phones, and for mobile phones, which is the best operating system? So some might say that Android has won the war, and some might say, no, the iOS operating systems are the best. I, on the other hand, maintain that the BlackBerry system, updated BlackBerry 10 software, is not that bad. But what is ultimately the best one? Well, to discuss that, we have with us Surendra Nambiat. He is a resident tech expert, renowned IT scholar. Thank you very much for coming in, Surendran sir. We also have with us Abhishek Bhatnagar. He is the founder of Gadgets. Thanks very much, Abhishek, for coming in. He's an avid blogger and often reviews many tech products. We also have with us Dhiren Singh. He's a retail consultant. He's there with us on Google Hangout. And also Prateek Verma. He's a blogger. He joins us on Google Hangout as well. But Abhishek, I'll start with you. In the OS wars, who's won? Is there a clear winner, and how long can that winner stay?
So I think it is more to do with the user requirements. Whatever OS that suits your requirement and that is comfortable for you to use, you can go ahead with that. It is not like any specific OS is better than the other one. It is like what suits your needs. So you can select a phone which is running that OS.
All right. But is there a comparison, or are they just completely just chalk and cheese? I mean, all OSs?
Well, no, there are differences, very substantial differences, I would say. But to answer your question, the question you asked him, if you look at numbers, clearly Android is ahead. In India, it is 91%, overwhelming market share. Windows is probably third at 5.4%. In between, you have the iOS, which is slightly higher.
How much is a BlackBerry's?
BlackBerry, I'm afraid, is just a blip on this on the radar. But that's all right, because BlackBerry 10, as you rightly mentioned, is doing well, and it's got a lot of promise. Well, there are differences, substantial differences, I would say, in the way these operating systems interact with the hardware that is the smartphone.
All right, so to just name a few, I mean, what would be the standout feature, for example, for an iOS versus an Android that gives it an edge over the Android?
So again, when it comes to comparing iOS and Android, the major thing which could differentiate these two OS is the overall usability part of it. And this comes from the user experience, like how often the OS actually hangs in case you are using a smartphone, how often it gives you the problem. So comparatively, if you compare both of these OS, iOS is more stable than Android as of now, as per the user feedback which I have got over time. Again, Android is improving and it is getting better day by day. So it has become already much more stable. But if you happen to use any budget Android phone, which might be running Android 4.2 or 4.3, then those phones are actually not that stable, and sometimes they will hang a lot and they will give you problems in day-to-day usage, which actually makes iOS better at times. Again, I am not saying that iOS does not hang, but definitely much lesser than Android in comparison.
All right, I want to get Dhiren Singh, because Dhiren, from a retail perspective, I mean, which products does better? I mean, with 91% market share, I'm sure Android is much better. But then market shares always don't give us the story in terms of the real the benefits of a brand or an operating system.
Yeah. So to be basically, my observation is you've got Android and you've got iOS. Basically, if I have to compare the two, in a way, it's very unfair to compare, because the user does not have a choice in terms of, let's say, if I'm going to buy a Samsung phone, smartphones, I don't have an option of putting either of these operating system. So basically, obviously, you see Android's got more market share because it sells more, almost something like 35% market share it has in India, at least Samsung. Uh, Whereas your Apple, I mean, it's just entered Indian market, still not there so much. So obviously, when you look at the market share and obviously far lesser than any of these. I mean, the Android system. So that's why. But yes, completely from the user perspective, I'd been using Android before I've switched to iOS, and I believe this is far more easier for me to use, much better quality, and as he said, that it hangs less. So it's a very troublesome operating system for me. So yes, I mean, I'm actually for iOS at the moment.
All right, are there any operating systems that are perhaps used by, because often in the rumors or in the general urban legends, as it's often said, that everybody has their own this thing, like something like Ubuntu or, a different operating system completely. Do our phones have that option? Can I change my phone around and have another operating system installed in my phone? Does it
Not
work?
to the best of my knowledge, unless
I
you have.
think Zola OS is there, so they are announcing they have already announced the beta program. What you can do is, if you have a Nexus 4, you can flash the entire operating system, and you can install that operating system on your phone and to test it out. I have actually communicated with them at Mobile World Congress 2014, and they were very much interested to come in India. So that is going to be an option in future, and they're again completely from the OS side. They are not a device manufacturer, so they are an operating system company who will be supported on different phones which
Hardware
you can use.
platforms.
So you can actually buy a Nexus 7 or Nexus devices in the market, for example Nexus 4 or 5, and later on you can install this OS once this beta program is going to come, I think by next month.
Yeah, but it's interesting because I think personally that's where the evolution is headed, where you can really customize everything, that you will be getting a basic device where you can custom fit if you want more memory, if you want a better camera, you can upgrade and downgrade. And with softwares as well, I think there should be that option. Right now, given the parameters of technology that we have, do we have, other than what you were talking about, are there any other products that are compatible with other phones, or are the smartphone manufacturers very, very careful of not making their devices compatible to any other thing? For example, what Apple does.
So as of now, when it comes to the current devices, most of the devices are actually launched with a specific OS. If you talk about Ubuntu, they are again testing their OS on Nexus 4 again. So most of the Nexus devices which are actually not coming for a specific brand, they're part of the Google lineup. And Google again concentrate more on the software side rather than what hardware it has. So these devices are kind of devices for which you will get the drivers, you will get all the support, so that you can build an OS around it and you can install it and make it work. If you plan to do on a Samsung phone, you won't be able to use the signal. The Wi-Fi signal may not work. The phone may not be able to get the cellular signal at times. So that could create a problem for phones which are coming from the brand. But for Nexus series, these are the devices which you can look forward to, on which you can install any OS, including an Ubuntu OS, including a Jolafish OS, or anything else which might be supported on these phones specifically.
All right.
Just to add to what he's saying, I once tried to. I had a Samsung Galaxy Tab, the earlier one, the GTP 1000. It came with Froyo, of course, and I was able to flash it to Gingerbread, but I could not do it for Honeycomb. That's it. The upgrade path stopped at Gingerbread. It didn't go any further.
Because they did not update it the OS. They did not concentrate
So
on
Android does this too often. And this is one thing which is, unfortunately putting a lot of people off.
So
the same
on
thing
Android,
happens with
yeah.
Apple also.
Yeah.
Apple also knows there is some hardware which is a very specific operating system. If the operating system changes, you are left with hardware which continues to run the older operating system. That is not so in the case of Windows. In the case of Windows, you have Windows 8. You had Windows 7, of course. Windows 7 is also supposed to be upgradable to 8, although it didn't probably work out so well.
So it is called Windows Phone 7
Yeah.
and Windows
Phone 8.
Yeah.
And now Windows 8.1, I'm able to upgrade it happily.
Right.
It happens over the air.
All
It
right.
can be done.
I want to get in Prateek Verma in, because Prateek's been writing about technology on his blog for some time now. And Prateek, from your perspective, I mean, for the Indian market, it certainly seems that Android has won it. But the kind of responses that I've even heard for the Windows operating system is not that bad. So in terms of the customer, I mean, we're really getting spoiled for choice. Gone are those days when everything used to just hang, or it used to take forever to download. Prateek, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Ishan. Uh, Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So I just asked you, I mean, how do you see this entire operating system race? The customer really seems to be spoiled for choice. I mean, the operating systems certainly do keep getting better and better.
Well, I agree with Abhishek when he said that the choice of operating system depends on your on what use you have, But also, if you look at the number of features, hello.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Well, we seem to be having a bit of an audio problem over there. But I want to come with the point that I raised with Pratik over there, Abhishek. Windows is not that bad. In fact, Windows is getting an incredibly cool feature that iOS and Android can't match, and it's the Connect motion detection software into the Windows Phone.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, everybody has their own unique feature.
Yeah. So definitely, what Microsoft is doing, they are making Windows Phone 8.1, again the latest iteration of it. They have made it much more to be suitable for a smartphone. Like they have added things which were missing, like Action Center, notifications, and all those things are accessible, which you see on iOS and Android, and you found them missing earlier on Windows phones. But so now these things are there, and they are doing something extra to actually make that particular software supported with the kind of hardware they're supplying. So they are making it supported to be connected to a Connect, and you can use it just like you use a gaming console. So that can be done. You can do
Oh, the Xbox Connect.
yeah, Xbox Connect, yeah. So all these things you can do. Again, they're bundling the support in the OS to make it support with the current hardware they're supplying in the market. So which makes sense and which creates an ecosystem for them out there to sell the devices in more numbers as well.
All right, but let's talk a bit about security features. But before we talk about any other features, I just want to go across, not to anybody, but just to the street, because our reporters went out and spoke to various people on the streets to find from them which operating system do they like and why.
I'm using BlackBerry right now. I prefer BlackBerry because I think this is the best executive phone. So it's a little outdated and considered to be a dumb phone now, since there are a lot of other options available in the market. But for sending emails and connecting with my clients, and a lot of my friends are on BBM, I prefer using BlackBerry.
I prefer Android phones because ज़्यादा applications download कर सकते हैं हम लोग.
Well, I prefer Android phone. The reason being it's more customizable and there are more apps and it's more user friendly as compared to iOS.
Obviously Windows. I'm using Windows from last 1 year, so I like this very much, and the color are very peppy.
मैं Android prefer करता हूँ.
I prefer iOS as it is convenient to use and it has more apps than Android market.
Do you think there's any status symbol attached to these phones?
Status symbol? I don't think so.
Nokia जो जैसे अगर मार्केट शेयर की बात करें तो नोकिया बहुत कम है, तो अगर सोनी है आपके पास तो स्टेटस सिंबल ही होता है. जैसे नोकिया का मार्केट शेयर डाउन जा रहा है, सोनी का अप है, तो सोनी इज़ द बेस्ट.
With iPhone, I think a lot of people are using iPhones, but they don't actually use the applications, and they are not able to use it to the optimum, the iPhone. They're just using it for the status symbol. This is mainly with people from 18 to 25.
All right, so as far as the iPhone is concerned, and interesting point that the last viewer raised over there about the apps and how often are they used, and I want to go across to our guest, Dhiran. Dhiran, as far as you have an iPhone, so how many apps do you use? Do you use it optimally? And then I'll come to you guys to ask you what is optimum usage of an app.
Yeah, actually, I'm one of those who use very optimally, so I don't really depend too much on the apps. Very, very basic, very few. Yeah, so.
All right, so then what is he missing out on, Abhishek? Now tell us.
So I would like to say that there are many things a smartphone can do, and that is why it is called a smartphone. So either you are using an Android phone or an iOS iPhone, the thing which your smartphone can actually do, make your life much more easier. For example, if you go for a meeting and after that meeting you want to find a coffee shop, your smartphone has an application for that. It will make your life easy to find that coffee shop. You can navigate to it, and all that thing which you need to actually go there is there on your phone. So which will help you to reach that place much easier without even thinking about it, especially in case you are in some other town where you don't know the route. Second thing, for example, on a day-to-day basis, how you are managing your time. From what time to what time you were there in office, from what time to what time you were traveling, all this can be tracked using a smartphone. So this is another usage, and there are multiple usage like this. You can listen music on your smartphone, you can use it for entertainment. So there are many things which you can actually do on a smartphone with the help of the application which are there in the ecosystem, and it will again help you use it to be an optimal use. That is something I would say a smartphone is there for, unless you can always use a feature phone if you just want to use the phone functionality.
All right, Pratik, I want to get you in on this because Abhishek raised a very important point about apps. Now, as far as apps are concerned, that is where I believe my poor BlackBerry Z10, which I purchased, I mean, it's almost cost as much as an iPhone, but in terms of apps is where I feel I've lost out. And is it native to every, I mean, who do you think is better in terms of apps? Which operating system?
Well, I would disagree with Abhishek on one point, right? There was this survey by consumer technology. There was this consumer technology survey done by Rockbridge Associates, and the study showed that people use maximum 4 to 8 applications, and 4 primary features in any smartphone are enough to meet the needs of 3/4 of the population. And every new feature that is added has fewer and fewer consumers. So by adding more features or more applications, you're just merely lengthening the learning curve of the device. And a good design means to keep things simple. And to be fair, there are only 8 things in a smartphone which are required: voice, text, camera, email, internet, GPS, and games. And this meets 88% of the requirements, and this satisfies the requirements of 88% of the consumers. So for the remaining 12%, do we need to have so many applications? I mean, there are 10 lakh applications on an iPhone. So how many applications would one person use? No one uses all the 10 lakh applications.
Fair enough. I mean, as far as apps are concerned.
I completely agree with Pratik actually. The other thing is, there are huge numbers of applications on the Android market, but some of the earlier Android versions do not support a large fraction of them. For example, Gingerbread or Honeycomb, right. They don't support the latest apps at all. It's only the KitKats and perhaps the Jelly Beans which support it actually. Yeah. So you don't have so many lakhs of applications available on your older Android phone. The same I think goes for Apple also, for iOS also.
Yeah,
when iOS 7 came, so many applications are not ready to run.
The other thing is about updation of an operating system, and where this is, I believe, where Windows 8 is scoring over others.
Well, Windows 8 does not have too many applications. The numbers are still minuscule compared to either the Android or the iOS. But whatever is there is, whatever is required is there. If you want to scan a check or something, there is a scan to PDF options available. The camera is extremely good on the Nokia. Let me say, I would say.
Phone, a BlackBerry. Not a bad phone. Nobody appreciates BlackBerry.
But it matches, the iPhone's phone capacity to any extent. Whether it is, low light photography or shake-free photography, videos, HD videos, it's all possible with the Nokia also. You must be knowing that pure view camera, which is 41 megapixels. That of course is more camera than a smartphone, I would say. But there are excellent abilities available. So I don't really miss any application. You want Angry Birds, it is there. You want Temple Run, it is there on the Windows platform.
All right, so Windows is certainly catching up and could be the...
It is actually about essential applications.
Exactly.
All those essential applications you need on a day-to-day basis, like popular games, popular applications like social media applications, Facebook, Twitter, they are available on all the platforms. But if you have a specific use, for example, you want to track your workout. There are specific applications in that category as well. When we talk about application, yes, there are lakhs of applications.
Who has the most free apps?
I would say Android and iOS both have a good number of free apps. There are a good number of free alternatives you can actually use. So that makes these OS much more useful. When it comes to Windows as of now, if you go to the Windows Phone store and if you want to install an application, the most popular one, they will always be free. But in case you want to use an application to track your workout, most probably it will be paid.
Alright.
So, however, there are free applications as well. But if you want to have a specific
premium
application,
application, yes.
maybe an application for a specific use, a utility or something like that, like data tracking. So, you will have that application paid most of the time on Windows.
All right, final question to you, gentlemen. As far as operating systems are concerned, I mean, you really follow techno. So, what is the next evolution or revolution that we're expecting to happen anytime soon?
Well, I don't know. I would say it is 3D displays. Some of it is already leaked out. 3D displays and perhaps 3D maps also. You know, that would really be helpful for a person like me who is lost. You know, going home also many a time. I don't have the genes for the directions. So that would be a great application as far as I'm concerned. That would be a great evolution as far as I'm concerned. But you mentioned rightly that the customer is now spoiled for choice, and that is how things should evolve. You know, we should have so many choices, and
So
that
a
is
complete
really
free
happening.
market, we
Absolutely,
completely drive down
absolutely.
prices and
Yes, that's
make
really
it an
happening.
unsustainable business.
I don't know what you would say is your
Right. Definitely, choice is something which is confusing, but it also gives you much more freedom what you would like to choose
Value for money,
as per
yes.
your requirements. So, especially talking about evolution. So, evolution will come in the smartphone OS when it actually interacts with the user and learns from it. So, right now it is like just an OS with some application who are not intelligent enough to actually analyze the user behavior.
So waiting for
I would
AI to come
I
in
would
instead
like
of-
to see features in Android and iOS which actually tracks the user behavior, which actually tells him, okay, these are the application which you use very often. So would you like to place it on your home screen or on the first home screen so that you can access them quickly? Would you like to actually, you have traveled a good number of steps. Would you like to install this application which actually tracks your steps, and it will also give you some data related to the calories. So when these things start happening on the OS front, then I would call it innovative. Then I would call it learning from the consumer, from the user who is using that smartphone.
I'll call it learning from the smartphone then probably. But on that note, we'll wrap up. Thank you very much, Abhishek and Surendra,
Thank you,
for coming, and it was a
Thank you,
pleasure
Ishan.
having you guys over here. And Dhiren, thanks very much for joining us and sharing your perspective on this subject. And also Prateek, thanks very much for coming in. Well, that was a presentation of the war of the operating software. So which one is your favorite? Write into us, tweet out to us, use indiapostlive.com and send us a video comment. Or if you want to send anything from a mobile phone, you're most welcome to do so from your smartphone, from your new operating system. What do you want in technology? Tell us, we'll talk about it for sure, but we'll wrap this conversation up for now. Thanks so much for watching.